growth, and exploration. This virtual gathering serves as a platform for us to come together, share ideas, and engage in meaningful discussions. As we navigate through the upcoming session, we will delve into topics that are not only insightful, but also deeply relevant to our ever-changing world. Our distinguished speakers and experts are here to guide us, inspire us, and to ignite the spark of curiosity within us. So, let's embrace this opportunity with open minds, active participation, and a willingness to explore the uncharted territories of thoughts. I once again thank all of you for being a part of this dynamic experience. Now, let me take this opportunity to welcome our today's panelists. We have Mr. Sachin Jain, who is a Harvard alumnus and a transformation catalyst with over 2 decades of extensive sales and marketing experience in automotive industry. Currently, he's working as a program manager with the iconic Harley-Davidson Motor Company. Today, he's here to share his knowledge in the area of program management. Welcome, Mr. Sachin. We also have Mr. Shiju Philippos, who's the head of MBA programs with Uni Athena. Welcome, Shiju.
Right.
And we will have Ms. Fatima Razi, who will be joining in a while. She is the head of admissions academic program. Okay, so before we go ahead with the webinar, let me quickly take you to the Westward Education Group. Westward Education Group is a leading provider of accredited international education and corporate training to aspiring learners. With affordability and flexibility as the core values, the group operates through more than 10 units to cater various education segments, various segments in the education sector. Uni Athena, which comes under the umbrella of Westward Group, it was established in the year 2019, and it is an edtech company which is headquartered in the United Kingdom. We offer online, academic, and free learning short courses which are flexible and affordable in manner. And we have proud partnership with multiple universities and professional qualification authorities. These are our partners, UCAM from Spain, Abate University from UK, Uni Marconi from Italy, and so on. Let us quickly go through the reasons that why Uni Athena. First of all, we are here to offer you with flexible payment. You can pay as you progress in the module. You can pay as per the module and complete your course. Another second most important reason for choosing Uni Athena is 100% online. You can access our resources through from any corner of the world. You have video tutorials, reading materials, and workshops through our resources. Then we are accredited to the universities which I mentioned, and these universities are globally accepted, and we have accredited partnerships with them. Then our courses are self-paced, and we can these courses are delivered through flexible low course duration, and you can learn at your own pace. And last but not the least, you have a personal tutor who will be helping you out, and this also helps in online delivery, and you can always take advantage of the personal tutors and go ahead in your program. I would like to take this opportunity to hand over the presentation to Mr. Sachin Jain, and he will take on from here. Mr. Sachin.
Thanks, Ayali. A warm welcome from my side to all the participants, all the listeners. It's so overwhelming to see the participation. And you made my Friday grateful, special, actually. It's so overwhelming to share my thoughts on program management, to be part of this webinar. So let's start by knowing each other. Brief, Sally has already shared about me. I come from a sales and marketing background, working in auto industry. And in these 2 decades of sales and marketing, I have worked from operations to the strategic level. I have worked into different functions of sales and marketing. And that diversity in the experience made me work focused on the program management area, which is in a very nutshell, executing strategies into actions. So today I'll be sharing my thoughts or my experience on program management. But before we get into that, may I quickly know how many of you are already into project or program management? A quick response in the chat box.
We are
Okay.
getting some answers, Sachin, and
Yeah.
okay, a learner says that yes, he is final year student, and Tiku Mavle says yes, he's working in the area of project management. Okay. Augustine says that yes, he's in project management. He has some experience in that area. Yes.
Great.
Okay.
Great. So thanks for your responses. It's nice to know that the audience is mix of people who are already into the subject, and there are others who would intend to or aspire to be in. So let's get onto the subject. The next one, Sally, please.
Yeah. Yes.
The next one.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so today what we'll be covering is, I'll try to keep it very simple for all of you. The subject of program and project management is very technical and complicated, the way it is presented. My endeavor will be to keep it simple. And what and how we'll cover the journey today is, we'll start with the basics, some warm up. For those who are already into the subject, there will be some refresher for them. We would understand what are the key elements in this subject, program management or project management. What are the essentials for the success? While we all would understand the subject, but what brings success is most important, and how we mix them, the right recipe, what we call it integration. And then I would like to hear from you your key takeaways. Right. So let's jump into the topic. Next, please. Okay. So when it comes to project, it has a very technical definition, where we say that project is a temporary endeavor which have a definite start and a definite end. Now, the slide in front of you actually depicts that there's a current status, there's a future state, and there's a program manager who is running after the future state. Before I get into the detail, just imagine yourself doing a project management in your day-to-day life. A very simple thing of planning a trip, or planning your birthday party, or planning your engagement party, or planning your marriage reception. Doesn't it sound like a project management? You start thinking about about the end goal. What are you going to deliver? You start thinking about the budget. You start thinking about the place. You start thinking about the guest list. So this is project. A project is simple, start to end, and you have to manage everything as a project manager. So, which means that a project involves a coordinated activities and tasks, and there are some resources that you plan, execute, and control to bring the desired outcome. So you as a program manager are planning, executing, and closing the entire activity, which we call as a project management. And what you're doing in your professional life. So let me quote some examples from the professional life. Let's say healthcare. Now in healthcare, there could be a new health campaign or a new health facility which is going to be launched. I see some participants from construction business. What do? You are either involved in new building construction, whether it is office or residential, or you're involved in some renovation. Software industry, you have new app to be developed, you have new software to be developed, or you have some website to be developed. manufacturing, so you have new products to be introduced. If I talk about infra, you have new energy projects, you have transportation projects. So everywhere there are projects. And I see a comment in the chat which says it is irrespective of sector. Yes, it is irrespective of any sector. The project management basics remains same for all across the industry. However, what changes is some specific industry needs, which would be like for infra. If I talk about energy, you would need certain expertise in oil or renewable energy, or for construction, you need to know the trades of the business. But the basics of project management or program management remains same across the sectors. Okay, now once we have understood this, let's do a refresher on how a project is executed. What are the life cycles? Next, please. Okay, so typically, by definition, a project life cycle will have phases, series or phases that starts from initiation to completion. Now, again, I say the phases may vary depending on the methodology or the industry, but typically a project life cycle would look like this, which starts with initiation. Now, as the name suggests, it's just the beginning. What we do in the beginning is we have some goals, objectives, and scopes to be defined. Other than that, we have stakeholders to be identified, what will be their roles. We need to establish that. The people involved in this phase also do the feasibility test and how the initial project will be planned. And to sum it up, there will be a project charter which will be defined, outlined. Now there are different formats of project charters which are practiced in the industry, so I won't go in that direction. But in the initiation stage, it's the very basic where the fundamentals of a project would be outlaid. Now, what comes in the next stage, which is planning? In this phase, the work goes little deeper in terms of the project scope is refined and a comprehensive plan is developed. Comprehensive, I mean, who is doing what, when, and everything, which if I translate to very specific activities, there are task management, what all tasks need to be done, what all activities are related to those tasks, what resources will be required. Now, when I say resources, it could be man, material, money, anything that is needed, required to deliver that project. There will be schedules in terms of timelines and of course budgets. Nothing moves without money. So all these activities are defined in the planning stage, which takes the reference from your initiation stage. And there are risks attached to the project. Now, risk have a very negative connotation, let me tell you. Whenever it comes to risk, it's say, oh my God, there's something bad going to happen. But in the program management or project management field, risks are upward and downward, both. So any good thing happening, upward risk, any bad thing happening, downward risk. So as a project manager or in the project management, the risk assessment happens. And how are we going to mitigate them? We should not land up in a surprise. Of course, we live in a VUCA world. Nothing can be 100% sure. But we try to assess those risks from our side and prepare a mitigation plan in advance if that happens. And as we have seen in the first phase, there are stakeholders involved. We extend that planning to communication and stakeholder engagement. What kind of communication should go, what should be the frequency, everything is planned in that stage. Then comes the action area, where the actual project is executed. The teams involved in the project are actually executing the project. Resources are allocated and project becomes live. There are regular communications and coordinations happening between the teams. And also what happens in this phase is that if there's any change happening, those are reported and put into a control mechanism. While this is happening, there's someone who is monitoring the project, whether it's going right or wrong, whether the quality intention, are we on the right track? So for that, there are KPI monitoring. We as human are used to work within the boundaries and need to be monitored. So as the project. So there are KPIs monitoring happening. And if there are any changes or if the team is coming across the risk and issues in the execution phase, they're also monitored and managed. There are reporting happening, there are status updates happening to the stakeholder, which ensures that there is a quality assurance, there is a quality delivery happening at the project end. Now, if you see, whatever we started in the initiation stage, the parameters remain same, just that we are going into details at every step. Now, what happens in final is the final project delivery happens. There are lessons learned out of this, good, bad, ugly, what went right, what went wrong, what could have been done better. And then the resources are released, project is closed, and the documentation is archived. Now, why it is archived is because there could be a similar project coming, or the success or failure of that project can be utilized for future. So it's always a reference for future. Now, what I want to highlight here is that the project lifecycle is not always linear. It may not go in the same phases. There could be some overlaps, or there could be some repetition happening in the cycle. For example, in iterative approach, some of you, if are from the software industry or from the product development industry, there's iterative approach which is adopted, so which goes in circle. For them, after execution, it might again go to planning. It may, or after control, it might again go to the planning stage. So the closure may happen sometime later. So depending on the industry or the methodology that that the project is adopting, the cycle would complete accordingly. Now, knowing this, if we have to broadly define project manager, what all project manager is doing, because it is important to have that conviction that what we are doing. A project manager is planning the project, he's doing the scope management, he's doing the resource allocation, he's doing time management, risk management, communication, stakeholder management, budget management, issue resolution, quality assurance. So you can imagine what all a project manager is doing. That's why I put that picture in the first slide where he's running after the outcome. Right? Okay, can we move to next? Right. Now, I'm extending the project to a program. I'm sure some of you would be familiar with this word because there's a difference between project and program, and I'm going to tell you how it varies. Now, project, as I mentioned earlier, have a definite start and an end. So there's a start and an end. There are certain defined objectives, goals, and outcomes to it. But when we combine projects, when we collect projects, it becomes a program, and program have certain attributes. So a program is collection of projects. First of all, the way project have defined goals and objective, a program will have a strategic objective. So it's more of a strategic alignment. Having said that, since it have a strategic objective, it will have a longer duration, unlike in project where there is a defined goal and that can be completed in a shorter timelines. A project is simple. It's just from point A to point B. But when you combine those different projects, it becomes complex, and there are certain interdependencies which are defined under the program management. The resources that are used in project management could be repetitive. So in a program management, a program manager will optimize the resources and the performance, because there are limited resources and the program need to execute all the projects. So there's an optimization which happens during the project. When it comes to management, projects are purely from planning to execution to controlling. However, program management have a lot of coordination and overseeing responsibilities. And when it comes to stakeholders, project have very defined stakeholders, whereas in program there's a broader range of stakeholders happening. So in nutshell, if I have to tell you, program management is focusing the interdependencies and resources along with the strategic alignment of multiple projects. Now I'll give you an example. Let's take example from the infrastructure. So there's an infrastructure development plan. That could be called a program. Now, once that program is launched, There will be different projects attached to it. Let's say road network expansion, and so one could be road network expansion, another one could be road maintenance, how to make them better. There could be a public transport enhancement project. There could be a smart traffic management project. So within an infrastructure development plan, which is a program, there are multiple projects attached to it. So a program manager in that program will be overseeing all the projects, and there will be dedicated project manager or project management team in each of the projects. Now, if you just have to visualize that all those things happening at same point of time, if you look across in your locations, there would be one or the other similar projects happening. There would be same people or some overlap in people. There would be some overlaps in budget. There will be some overlap in material. So as a program or as a program management, the scope is to optimize them. The scope is to handle the interdependencies with an ultimate objective to meet the strategic objective, which is the infrastructure development for the citizen or people of those locations, right? Okay, having said that, a program management have certain fundamentals to it, which we'll understand in the next slide. This is one of my favorite structure, if you ask me. Whatever we have discussed about program management, there's a basic structure to it, and it will go in that step only. The first step is why. Everything starts with why. For a moment, even if I leave the program management, a simple question: why are you attending this program? Why are you attending this webinar? So there's an intent. There's a purpose why we are doing this. Likewise, a program management will also start with a purpose, with a strategic alignment, which will answer the why question. And what is answered in why? What are the strategic goals? What is the organization's mission and vision? How are the strategic goals contributing to those mission and vision? What are the value propositions? What are the benefits and outcome that would come from the program? Now, if I have to relate again to the infra, why it is for the betterment of the country or the location. It is for the faster transportation. It is to enhance the mobility within the location. Now, what is the business case? What are the potential benefit when it comes to business, or what are the costs involved in it? What are the ROIs involved in it? What could be the risk out of it? All these things are defined in the why, the purpose and strategic alignment of that program. The next step that comes is what. Now, what is the structure of the program? What are the objectives and outcomes of the program? What are the scope boundaries of the program, which specify which all projects will be involved, what initiatives will be taken, what activities will be included and excluded in the program, and the deliverables out of that program, because we need to define what are the tangible outcomes, whether it is products or services. We need to define them. Let me give you a simple example. When I managed, or when I joined Harley, the objective of Harley was to get into a middleweight segment. Harley is known for big bikes, twin engines, but the objective in India was to enter into a middleweight segment, which Harley did not have anywhere. So there was a purpose that Harley wanted to enter into a middleweight segment motorcycle. Now, when we started breaking that down, we identified that which segment Harley should go into, who should be our partners, what is the scope, what would be the investments and all. We started discussing that. In the third step, where the approach part is, in the approach part, we started defining the timelines. We started defining the milestones, resources, budget. So there was a plan, detailed plan, which was worked out that how this thought can made to reality. There were resources allocated. Now here, we have our partner Hero MotoCorp. So there were two companies involved in that. So resource allocation, who would be doing what resources, technologies, budgets will be involved, what could be the risks. Again, risk is upside or downside. So what are the risks attached to it? What are the interdependencies? Now, if some of you would be familiar in the automobile industry, when a product is developed, there are different parallels and sequential activity happening. So right from a product development to a launch, there are certain sequential and parallel activities happening. Likewise, it would happen in the other sectors also. So what are the interdependencies and what are the risks in those interdependency? If one project delays, what is the consequence on the final outcome? Then who are the stakeholders involved in it? As I mentioned, as I mentioned, in this project, two big companies were involved. So different stakeholders at different level were involved. So how to involve them, how to inform them, how to keep them engaged in the program, all those were defined in the approach part. Till now, everything is on paper, fine. We have described everything. What becomes important, not that others are not important, but what adds to the flavor is the implementation or the integration of everything. Now here, out of my experience, if we can broadly define this integration into two categories. One, there's something called processes. Now, what I mean by processes is, what are the simple processes that are followed to implement the project or a program. Second stage are the people who are going to carry those processes. Now, the marry of these two or the integration of two will define the quality of success of a program, which I'm going to cover in the next slide. So can we move on to the next one, please? Right. So when we talk about processes in a project management, there are many processes. And if you go through programs, if you go through certifications, every certification will define it in a different way. Now, what I'm going to tell you here is a very basic one. Irrespective of it is a project or a program, these processes will apply everywhere. And again, I'm telling you, not only program or project, it can apply to the operations also, which we will cover in the later part. So the basics of these will remain same everywhere. First of all, everything starts with a plan. As I've been talking previously, a plan will outline the objectives, the scope, timelines, deliverables, resource requirements, and it will work as a roadmap for executing the program, and will provide a basis for what to monitor, how to monitor, and how to manage the changes that we will come across in the program. Now, once planning is done, there need to be a governance, which talks about that how and who will take proper decisions, who will be accountable for what, and how are we going to control the program. And what it defines is, it gives the framework for managing risk, or if you come across any issue, how do we resolve them, and how do we ensure compliance. So the very basic, we plan, we put a governance mechanism to that, we add a risk management to that. So if we come across a risk, how are we going to, first of all, how are we going to identify that risk? Not everybody would be aware that there is a risk. So we need some sense that possibly this delay or this change in the process is going to cost us something. How do we identify that? How do we assess that? And how do we mitigate that? Everything will be covered under the risk management. And as a program manager, one need to be proactive in handling those uncertainties. If there is a negative impact, how do we mitigate them? And if there's any positive impact, how do we capitalize on them? How do we build on them further? Now, when this is happening, there are certain changes that an organization will go through. Because what you're doing is, if you remember my first opening slide, we are changing the current status to a future status. So everything is going through a change. Now, in project or program, the changes are bigger. When changes are bigger, it is going to involve significant organizational changes. It would lead to skill changes, it will lead to competency changes, it may redefine the scope of work, the way we do, the way we deliver, our approaches. So there is a lot which is covered in the change management. As a program manager, we should have skill and equipments to manage these changes also. So how do we navigate stakeholders through these changes and ensure that they are engaged and they successfully adopt the change and they have very minimum resistance? There would be resistance, but how there could be how we can minimize those resistances. Last but not the least, there will be a performance measurement. So if you see, there's a governance which keeps a check on it, but it needs a metrics. So establishing metrics and performance measurement process are defined under the performance measurement. What it will help you, or how it will help a program manager is, it will help in tracking the program progress. Are we on track? If there's anything changing from the plan, there should be informed decisions. The stakeholders are involved, and if there is any course correction need to be done, we can take those course correction. So if I have to sum up the process part, the processes are crucial. Why? Because they bring consistency, they bring clarity, they bring efficiency, risk, and the risk mitigation. They bring quality assurance. They have stakeholder management. So there's a complete flow of process that is happening. So if you see, there is a sequence which is happening in this complete execution. So by establishing and following the processes, program managers can enhance the performance. They can reduce the risk and ensure a successful outcome. Now, when we have processes in place, who are going to execute them? Of course, we live in a world of AI, we live in a world of robots, but these things they cannot handle. We need people. We need someone among us or people outside us whom a program manager or project manager will manage. And hence, the importance of people comes into picture. So can you move to the next slide, please? Right. So for a program manager to handle people, there are certain competencies or certain basics that you should keep in mind. First of all, I'll talk about team leadership. Now, this is, of course, leadership is important because it provides vision and direction and guidance to the team. I will be very specific by mentioning it as team leadership. More often, what will happen is that a program manager would be working in individual capacity and had to coordinate with different teams involved in it. So there's no direct line, there's no direct reporting line to the program manager. How do you work that? If there's a direct reporting, you can always delegate things. But in these situations, the team leadership helps. Now, what is team leadership? Team leadership is nothing but competencies to coordinate and counsel and work through different teams and collaborate with them so as to bring an effective outcome. What it needs is, it needs a very strong motivation and engagement with the team members. We need to bring that sense of purpose among the team members to move on. There's a lot of alignment which happens with the team members. Having said that, this leads to a team collaboration. In this world, for an effective program management to happen, collaboration is the key, because by now you would have understood that the programs or the projects are not happening in isolation. They are happening with the teams. And when it comes to program, there are different projects happening. So how do you visualize that? When you visualize that, the key for success lies in the team collaboration. When there are different people involved in that, there will be conflicts, there will be resistance. But as a program manager, the task is to resolve them and bring the collaboration together. What it brings is, it brings collective expertise, it brings collective intelligence to the execution. It brings different perspectives which are welcoming. It can add to the quality of the program. It can also foster innovation, because different perspectives, different ideas can lead to innovation. And since I mentioned there will be a conflict, the conflict can bring uh, so that conflict can bring a problem resolution as well. So collaboration and coordination for a program manager works hand in hand in the people management section. Now, when these are happening, there are stakeholders involved in that. The stakeholders identification is an important part. You would find stakeholders who are holding a position but may not have significant interest in the program. At the same time, you may find stakeholders who are involved but may not have the decision making or the power or authority. How do you manage them? Because both are important. One who is involved but does not have authority, and another one who has the authority but is not involved. So in a stakeholder management matrix, we map the stakeholders which are good for information, or stakeholders which are influential for us, or the stakeholders which can bring some value to the project. And we have to manage their needs and expectations so that collectively they can contribute to the program success. This is done through an effective communication process. In communication, we have the formal communication, we also have the informal communication. We have the frequency in which the communication should happen. We also define how the communication would happen. Is it through emailers, or is it through mails, or is it through a presentation, or is it through calling meetings? So all these elements are added to communication. Now, what communication will do in the program is it will facilitate the understanding, alignment, and collaboration among the team members. Also extended to stakeholders and the leadership team, because everybody across the chain need to be informed, since it's like running a Titanic. Imagine only captain running the wheel, what would happen to the ship? It sank. So communication acts as a catalyst in the entire process. If everybody is informed, they know what's going to happen in the next step. What it also brings is engagement and motivation to the team. Now, when people are informed, when people are valued, they are asked for contribution, they feel motivated. So in nutshell, when it comes to importance of people in the program management, they are the driving force in the program management. Their leadership, their expertise, their communication, their collaboration, everything is crucial in the success. And once we recognize them and nurture the importance, it becomes essential for the desired outcome. Now, what we have understood so far is there's a process part to it, there's a people part to it, but they don't work in isolation. They need to work in tandem together. Imagine you have bicycle, one wheel running in left and another wheel running in right. You will head nowhere. You will be standstill. For that, you need a chain. You need a binding force. And by the binding force, I mean the integration of the program. If you recall one of the slide at the bottom of the pyramid, I mentioned the integration part or the implementation part. How implementation is important by integrating people and processes. Can we move to next, please? Okay. So again, this is not from the textbook. If you read different books, if you read different courses, different certification program, you will come across different theories. This integration is out of the experience what I have gained out of the operations, out of the strategic involvement, and the recent project which I'm doing with Harley. First of all, when people are involved and when objectives are involved, they need to be aligned. There's a company objective and there are individual objectives. If these are not aligned, imagine people running in different directions. And instead of multiplying the force is divided. You won't make progress. So it is very important that individual, or as a program manager, you made individual understand their roles and contribution, which are aligned to the program objective. You help in setting the clear expectations, establish a clear performance metrics, how people will be measured, or their performance will be measured in terms of program objectives, provide them with regular feedbacks on their individual efforts and on the program success. So you have to see them as one. So 100 individuals, for example, involved in a program need to be seen as one, and only when they are aligned in one direction, your entire program will be moving in that direction. Having said that, how that will happen is, once the goals are aligned, there need to be a clear roles and responsibilities. I'll give you an example of, again, between Harley and Hero, our business partners. There were certain areas where we said, okay, fine, we will be doing our expertise, we'll be sharing these roles and responsibilities, and the same was with the Hero. And there was no overlap. Even if there was some overlap which we came across or during the program, we could talk and resolve them. Now imagine a situation where nothing is clear, nothing is defined, and we are just doing random things. It would create a chaos and the program won't go anywhere. So right from the beginning, if our roles and responsibility metric, the RESIC matrix is prepared, it's not only from the execution level, it is also from the direction level, who in the leadership are involved in direction, who are involved in the approving authorities, who are involved in the execution in the execution, and there is a complete chain which is described. So that will qualify as proper role and responsibility. Now, what it brings is, it brings clarity about who is accountable for what and how they will collaborate together. So there's a complete mesh which a program manager will visualize by assigning roles and responsibilities in this journey. Now, when this is happening, this is bringing a decision making and empowered with decision making in the process. When I know what I'm supposed to do and you know what you are supposed to do, there's no conflict. You don't have to come to me and I don't have to go to any other person to take decisions. Now, when this empowerment happens, there are informed decisions happening. There are areas of responsibilities well defined. There are authority and autonomy which is provided in the system, and all of them are working enthusiastically towards a common goal. Again, this is possible because of the communication. We have been talking about stakeholders, stakeholder management and communication. When the two are integrated here, it brings a communication channel. I covered in the last slide. There are informations are categorized into good to know, FII, or if there's any decision to be taken, or if there's any status update to be shared, how frequently those need to be done. There are informations or communication flowing vertically and horizontally. How many stakeholders need to be involved in that communication. Also, how are we disseminating that information? There are some information which directly goes onto dashboards. There are some information which are available on the portals for the stakeholders. If someone is using some platform, for example, Asana, the information is available in the system itself. So there is no need to create a parallel channel. So it is depending on the program and the nature of industry. The program manager will define the communication channel which is most effective. In the end, what it brings is the collaborative culture. Now, collaborative culture brings collective intelligence and collective learning. How? You might have experienced, whenever you collaborate, there is sharing of knowledge, there is sharing of perspective, and there's active participation in the collaborative environment. So people feel valued, people feel heard, they feel supported. So what I want to emphasize here is that both people and processes are important in program management. They are interconnected and they mutually reinforce each other in the program management. Now, a balance between right people and a good process, well-defined process, will contribute to efficient execution. It will bring stakeholder satisfaction. You will be able to resolve risk faster in terms of risk mitigation. And in the end, it will lead to your desired program objectives. Now, while we talk about all these things, we are talking about process, we are talking about program, we are talking about process, we are talking about people. And if you've also heard, we're talking about program management and program manager involved in that. So, I mean, I'm also including project manager involved in that. There's certain upskilling, certain competency building, which program manager should also go through, because it's a continuous journey. And here, the personal mastery becomes important, which I'm going to explain in the next one. Next, please. Yeah. So while I may know all the processes, while I may know all people who are involved in the program, but if I as program manager is not equipped, I don't have those competencies and skill sets, how do I bring that into action? So for me personally, the personal mastery becomes important. Again, you can have 100 items in the list, but the important one which I felt throughout my journey are communication. We have been talking on communication. Now, I should be if you're aware about, there's something called coaching based communication, which is very popular among the leaders. So leaders as coaches or coaching based communication, it simply talks about that we should be listening actively, we should be listening empathetically, and we should have clarity in what we are talking and communicating. When it comes to perspective of program management, I should be able to articulate the program goals. I should be able to inspire and engage team members. I should be able to build a rapport with them. I should have very empathetic conversation. I have come across few of the project managers in the coaching session who talk about, I know everything, but still I'm not able to create impact. Can you teach me how to raise influence? I said, sure. My first question is, how do you communicate? Oh, I send the email. Oh, I send the messages. Can you change the communication? Can you just pick up a phone and say, hello, hi, how are you doing? How many times you build rapport with them? Because we are dealing with people. Even if you write 10 things and someone is not motivated or aligned to those 10 things, it will not move. So what we are doing is we are creating a mastery in communicating our thoughts and through people implementing them. So there's a concept of intent and impact. What I intend, if I'm not able to communicate properly, will not give me desired impact. So that's where the communication plays important role. Extending that in communication, when I'm saying empathetic listening, there's also called emotional intelligence. This word has been very popular, I would say, in last 10 years, but still it's as fresh as ever. Why? Because it's an ongoing process. There are certifications in emotional intelligence. There are courses on that, but I can tell you in the nutshell, it only have 3 steps. One, how much I know about myself. Am I able to recognize and understand my own emotions? Am I happy today? Am I sad today? Am I feeling disappointed? Am I feeling frustrated? I only show anger, but I don't know what's behind that anger. So one, am I aware about my emotions? The second stage is, am I sensitive enough and able to sense others' emotion? I talk to someone is not in a good mood. Instead of me pushing my agenda, can I understand what's the problem is? Because it's like full glass of water. If it's not empty, nothing will get into it. So if the person is full with his emotions, he will not listen to you. So am I able to sense that emotion? And when I sense my emotion, when I sense other emotion, how am I creating the bond? Am I sensible? Am I emotionally intelligent towards the environment? What it will deliver to? Imagine you understanding yourself, you're in a good mood, you come across person who is not in a in so good mood, you try to cheer up, you both align, and then you're able to explain your agenda or your work. Would it not move faster? So that's how program manager with emotional intelligence can navigate complex dynamics. They can build relationship with the stakeholders. They can convert conflicts into collaborations, which we have heard some time back. Now, the next thing which comes in personal mastery is critical thinking. A program is dynamic in journey. What it means is there are a lot of changes happening in the due course. There are a lot of upgradations happening in the due course. Do I have the acumen to see them and visualize the impact? Do I have the acumen to analyze the impact of decisions that we are taking today? Do I have the courage to make choices or influence decisions that could be in favor of the program? That's how you bring the critical thinking. There's no straight line formula to the critical thinking, but am I learning from my past? Am I sensing my present so that I can visualize my future? Okay, now while this is happening, there are a lot of things which may not go in your favor. There are a lot of things which may come as surprise, be it uncertainties, be it challenges, be the ambiguity. You may not get success every time. You may be filled with stress of timelines, stakeholders not listening to you, the budget not coming on time, or there's a resource crunch. So you're filled with challenges, you're filled with surprises, you're filled with uncertainty. What do you do in that? There's a high risk of collapsing. What works here is resilience. Now again, resilience is something which is connected to your emotional intelligence. When I know that I am feeling collapsed, do I have the courage or do I have the mastery to come back? Am I choking myself? Am I leading towards burnout? Do I have a mechanism, a formula to come out of that? Is what is called resilience. The simple step in resilience is, one, sense my present. Where am I? Second is, what are the certain things that are available to me so that I can take that help and make my path? Third is, can I change something in my routine, whether it is my emotional change or whether it is my physical changes, whether it is in my task list, or whether it is in my priority. I need to change something to come back. Otherwise, it's similar to computer. Input is equal to output. If you don't change anything, you are further going to face that. So resilience is something which makes me aware where I am, where I need to go, where I'm lacking, and just tweaking that a little bit so that I come back on the track. While we do that, we are also adapting to the situation. I'm not rigid that I will work in this particular fashion only. I'm making changes, I'm adapting to the situation and coming back on the track. By now, everything what I've told you falls under that. Am I aware about myself? So there's a lot of self-reflection which we need to practice. I've been doing it for almost like 8-10 years. Any incidents that happens, any experience that I come across, whether it is success or failure, I generally try to see what went right, what went wrong, could that have been done better. Even if it is success, how do I ensure success? Because if I keep doing same thing, even success will fade out. There's a famous book by Marshall Goldsmith, which says that what lead you here may not lead you there. which means that even to maintain success, we need to have continuous reflection mechanism. What it brings is it helps us in aligning with the changing environment. And in terms of failure, it makes more sense, because why did I fail? I don't know. So just saying I don't know doesn't help. I should know what were the gap areas and how can I bridge them. The one way to do that is take feedbacks from others. Generally, we are not receptive to feedback, but that's one of the mechanism to make improvement. One, what do you think about yourself? And second, what people think about you. Take it constructively. Of course, you may not be able to work on all the feedback. Let's say you receive 10 feedbacks, you may not be able to work on 10 feedbacks, but maybe if you're able to address and prioritize 2 or 3 of them, there's a change. You are igniting that change for a betterment. So if I have to sum it up, personal mastery enhances in terms of program manager, will enhance the leadership skills, decision making skills, effectiveness in managing complex programs. It will empower managers to continuously learn and adapt and develop qualities which will not only help in program success, but will also help one to grow better personally. So now with this, I'll come towards end of the session. If I have to sum it up, the basic premise of program management or project management remains same. It is making a change from A to B. And in that change, what a program manager is going through, is going through challenges. They are leading the collaborations, and they are doing the continuous improvements on themselves and on the environment. So effectively, once you're able to do that, you become a good leader, you become effective communicator, you are good in stakeholder management, you bring that strategic intent to your thought process, you are a good decision maker, you are a good risk manager, you are able to resolve your conflicts very well, you are empathetic, you bring time management. So there's a whole lot of list that you can add to become a good manager. Yeah, so with this, I'll conclude my session. If you have your questions, we can take it towards end of the session. If you have any question specific to me, I am sharing my coordinates on your screen. I have my website which you can visit, which talks about transformation and how to bring transformation. My email is available to you. I'm also available on LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out in case you have anything in your mind you want to discuss, or you look for my advice, support. I'm available to you. One thing before I hand over to the next session is, while I've spoken about program management. The program management leads into operation management. What I mean is, program management is kind of bringing a strategic intent to execution. Now, once that is done, it is handed over to operations. So these two are different fields actually. Program management is more into a strategic alignment, where operations are into bringing efficiencies and effectiveness. In spite of being distinct, there are certain similarities which both the program or both the profiles would need. For example, stakeholder management. They are common in both the functions. For example, decision making. For example, delegation. For example, planning. For example, effectiveness. So they will remain same. Why I want to highlight here is, whatever whatever function you are into, there are certain basic elements which are useful, or which are the backbone spine of your function. So it is very important for us to upgrade time to time and upskill ourselves, acquire those competencies by certification programs, or by going through a certified programs, whether it is postgraduate or undergraduate programs. So keep upskilling yourself. It is very important. The world is dynamic. So we as human need to upskill ourselves to keep a pace with the dynamic world. So with that, I end my session. I hope you enjoy it, and I will answer your queries towards end of the session. Over to you, Sally.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sachin. It was a wonderful and an insightful presentation on program management, and I'm sure that all the learners have taken a lot of aspects, a lot of insights from this presentation, and I'm sure that they will reach out in if needed. Thank you so much, Sachin. Now I hand over the session to Mr. Shiju Philippos, and I invite him to officially launch our program, a new program, which is the MBA Operations and Project Management. Shiju, over to you.
Thank you, Sayali, and thank you, Mr. Sachin. That was such a wonderful session. We had, giving us a very clear idea about what is a program, and what are the skill set which is normally required for program management, and how how the program management and operation management skill set are correlated. Now, how can we develop both the skill set together? Thank you for such a wonderful session. Now, over to the course that the highlight of the today's session. The course that we are launching today, which is an MBA in Operations and Project Management. This is a course which was there in the pipeline since quite some time, and we wanted to add a lot of practical insights into it, and then we had a lot of modules developed for that thing, and then we have launched this program. Okay, Sayali, just move ahead with that slide. Okay, now as Sayali might have already discussed initially itself. As with all the other programs which we cater to, MBA in Operation and Project Management, we do have a very flexible duration for the course, wherein which you can complete the course as early as 9 months, or you can take up to 24 months for the completion of the course. And we do have a very flexible payment sort of thing, wherein which we have modules. I'll be sharing you the details of the module in the future slides, but then you have the option of paying per module. Like, you can pay for one module, you complete the module, get it evaluated, then pay for the next module, and then move forward. And of course, the university is, as per it is master program from the European University, the university details and everything, and I'll be sharing in the next slides. And there is always a very detailed personal tutor support, a hand-holding sort of thing, which is there available right from the beginning. A personal tutor will be there to support academically. A student engagement, a team member will be there to support in all sort of non-academic things, right from the beginning till the end of the course, till you receive the certificate in your hand. Okay, Sally, to the next step. Okay, now regarding the certifications, the details about the certification, it's a triple certification program, the Operations and Project Management MBA, wherein which you will get the MBA in Operations and Project Management from the GMU Italy, which is a very renowned university in Italy, and is very much accredited by the Italian government too. And then you will have an optional CIQ certificate, which will be a postgraduate diploma in Operations and Project Management. And then you will have a certified manager optional certificate, again from the CMI UK. Now, to give you details about these universities and the modules, let's move to the next slides. Okay, now GMU, as I told earlier itself, it is recognized by the Italian Ministry of Education, and it follows the European learning system, which is referred to as the Bologna process. And it, GMU is one of the highly recognized university in Italy, and it holds a U multi-rank classification rating systems also. And now to discuss more about next slide, Sayali. To discuss more about the CIQ program. CIQ is a certification authority, which is a professional awarding organization based out of UK. And it offers credit-rated programs under the Scottish Credit and Qualification Framework System. And then it is approved for progression to higher qualification. You can use these credits for improving or moving to the higher qualifications. You can even offer, it's like a stack building. You can offer, use this CIQ for doing master programs, stack it up for, going for a higher qualification system. And then next slide, Sayali. And regarding the Charter Management Institute, it is again, it's a professional recognition in the management and leadership position. For example, you have the certified managers certification, which we provide from the CMI. which gives you recognition in a community of high-performing professional managers. And of course, it is backed by the Royal Charter. Now, to give you the details about what are the modules, as I told, it is a modular system in which the learning will happen. We have 7 modules as part of this course. We will be starting with International Marketing Management, which will be the first module, wherein which we'll be covering in depth using case studies and everything, in depth the various international marketing management system, the strategies, the models, everything connected to that. And then we will move forward the next module to the strategic leadership and HR practices in organization. We have curated the modules in such a way that you will get all the skill set, to be used in case you start working as an operation manager, or you're already in an operation management position, and then you want to, climb the ladder up in the career. So we have curated all the skill sets in these modules, or the learning objectives in this module, in such a way that any sort of skill set which is required for you to success in this career is included in this, and that too from a very practical perspective. So from international marketing management, we will be moving to strategic leadership and HR practices. And then we will have finance for business leaders modules. And then we have a strategic project management and implementation, wherein which we'll be discussing in depth the project management, various phases in the project management, how to do a feasibility study in project, like, how to make, how to check whether the ROI of a project is good or not, whether to offer a project, how to do project monitoring, and then how to create a lessons learned document. In depth, we'll be discussing everything related to strategic project management and implementation. And then one of the very continuous process improvement tool, which is being used in almost all sort of operation industries, including right from IT till construction or supply chain, the TQM, the total quality management. So we have a module on total quality management, where in which we'll be discussing about all the tools, the methodologies, the philosophies, everything related to total quality management. We'll be covering into that. And these are the 5 mandatory modules. And then we have 2 modules, which are the electives, out of which one can be selected as per the interest and the choice of the learner. It can be either in supply chain or logistics in the global context, where we will be discussing in depth about the supply chain or logistics from a global perspective, of course. Or else you can opt for the sustainability and business model. And once that is completed, we'll be moving to the research and dissertation phase, where in which you will ideally identify one problem, if possible, preferably in the current industry that you're working, and then work on it, and then take 3 to 6 months of time frame, and then with the help of your research supervisor, who will be guiding you right from the beginning, we will have one proposal. We'll go through a phase-by stage, where in which finally we will provide with a solution or a case study analysis of what the problem you have analyzed. Okay, so this is a stage in which the module goes, and each module can be completed in a minimum time frame of 21 days or a maximum of 60 days. So again, it is as per your comfortness. You will decide, like, how much time should I take for each lessons, and how to do the when and where to do the studies and everything. It's all purely your choice and your flexibility. Okay, now let's move to the next slide. To give you a very clear picture of how your learning process is going to happen with Uni-Athena or Athena Global Education, your initial process will start with the enrollment process. That is with the admission. You might, if you opt for this course, you will reach out to the admission team, or the admission team will reach out to you. You have to complete that admission formality, get yourself approved for the course, and then go for the enrollment. Once your enrollment is done, you will be assigned both a personal tutor or a student or a learning facilitator, who will be doing an orientation to you to make you familiarize with the learning management system, make you familiarize with what is the expectation of the course, and it is sort of like an academic hand-holding for you. And at the same time, parallelly, you will have a student engagement executive who will be reaching out to you on a regular basis, who will be helping you with all sort of non-academic queries. And that will be your point of contact for any concerns, any issues. You can always reach out to that person. So you will have a personal tutor in place to help you with, who is going to handhold you throughout the academic process. And then you will have another SE, a student engagement executive, who is going to support you for everything, each and everything related to non-academic thing. And then after completion, during the module itself, the academic team or the personal tutor will be supporting you with, how to go for the submission, the project submission or the assignment submission. They will do the draft reviews. They will help you out to make you score as much as possible. And then after each module assessment is submitted, the evaluation happens. And then you, as we said, discussed earlier, you pay per module. So once the evaluation is done, you pay for the next module, and then the renewals happen for the next module, and then you move forward to the next module. And once all the modules are completed, then you move towards the final stage, which is a dissertation or a final research process, where in which again you will have a supervisor who is going to handhold you throughout the whole process. Now, once that is done, your course completion happens. And then the certification support team or even the SE will always be there with you to support that process also. And then obviously, once the payment, everything is completed for the certifications and everything, the certificate will be claimed and the certificate delivery happens. Okay, the time frame taken for, because we have a triple certification, the time frame taken for each of the certificate is very clearly provided in our website, because normally a GMU certificate normally takes any time between 3 to 4 months for the claim, once the claim is done. So the exact time frames and everything is very clearly provided in the website. Now, to just walk you through how the learning management system or how your module learning happens, let's move to the next slide, Sayali. Okay, now our module, let's say that we have a module in HRM or human resource management. Okay, now HRM module, we have made it into micro level learning to make it easier for the learner to grasp it. Like we have divided each module into sub lessons for it. Let's say that maybe the HRM module maybe there will be 40 to 45 lessons. Each lesson may be 7 minutes or 8 minutes or 10 minutes or 12 minutes duration. So each lesson, so if we have a topic, for example, if you see here, the first lesson may be in the HRM module, maybe origin of HRM. And then the next may be the characteristic and purposes of HRM. And it goes on like that. There might be 35, there might be 40, there might be 45 lessons, depending on which module you are into. Okay. Now, again, each lesson we have divided into or put it into 4 different sessions. The first session is the level 1 session where you have that video tutorial of that lesson. So if it's an origin of HRM, the first lesson, you have a video tutorial of maybe 10 to 12 minutes or 8 minutes of a video tutorial down there, where in which the presenter will be taking you through the whole concept. It's a video tutorial where you can watch it at any comfortable location as per your convenience and any point of time to depending on your flexibility. Okay, so once you complete that video session, then we go to the level 2. Okay, Sally, next slide. Okay, when we go to the next level, which is the essential reading. So what all has been discussed in that video thing or the video lesson the presenter has presented, we will be discussing in detail in this level 2, that is the essential reading part. So you'll have a written material of what all things in detail about what all things has been discussed in the video. So you watch the video first, that is the level 1 first, and then you move to the level 2, where in which if you have missed something, if there is any if by any chance if you miss some clarity in that video lesson, I'm sure that you will get more in-depth clarity during that essential reading session. Okay, now once your essential reading session is done, then for somebody, depending on learner to learner, some learners feel that level 1 and level 2 is enough for me. I have enough information about this thing by level 1 and level 2 itself. But if somebody wants to have a more information or more research sort of knowledge or in-depth knowledge of the subjects, then we have the level 3, where in which some reference material depending on or with respect to this lesson or something related to that subject area will be provided. Okay, so we can also go through that reference material, which is the level 3. And again, we have also provided with a level 4, wherein which you have an access to some research materials. Okay, wherein which something in-depth research material which has happened with respect to that separate subject will be there, or the lesson will be there. And again, if you see here on top, you can see that there's an e-library facility provided down there, which will be given access to all the learners, where in which you will be able to access an e-library where you will have all sort of books, or you will have all sort of e-books. There will be research materials on the subjects, not just on this subjects, or on a wide array of subjects. You have e-books and research materials available down there. So you can also go down there and have a look. So you go from level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4, and then we are sure that any sort of information or knowledge which is required for that lesson has been completely understood or grasped by your end. Okay, Sayali, next slide. Okay, now to discuss in detail about the payment pattern and how the eligibility criteria and everything, we have Ms. Fatima down here, who is our admission and the business head. Let me welcome Fatima to give you a discussion of the same. Welcome to you, Ms. Fatima.
Thank you, Shiju. A very good day to everyone. And as Shiju had explained earlier, that we follow a flexible approach. It's like flexible in terms of payment and in terms of time. So like you can pay in installments, you need not pay the entire fee upfront. For example, you are doing the module number 1. You just need to pay for the first module and start the course. Complete the module, make the payment for the second module, and then move on to the third, and so on. So it is not as in like you need to pay for a semester or trimester or some fee upfront. You can just pay for the module which you are doing and progress to the next one. So this is pay as you progress or pay as you go. Till you reach the degree certification stage, you pay for the degree and then you can claim the degree certificate. Sayali, next slide, please. Okay, early exit award. This is another benefit, which we provide for most of our programs. In case, for example, you're doing this program, which is like having 7 modules, you are unable to complete the modules, for some reason or the other, you need to exit in between, maybe, it may be personal reasons, financial reasons, whatever the issues. So you can claim an early exit award or a certificate for the modules which you have completed. If you've done 1 module, 2 module, 4 modules, it all depends on the number of modules. So whatever you've done, we'll give you an award and you can exit the program at that point of time. Later, you want to come back and start, from where you left off, you can very well come back and start. Okay, then next slide, please, Sayali. Eligibility criteria. We have 2 routes for the entry. The one is academic entry, which is like you must have a bachelor's degree from an recognized institution, an accredited institution, or in case a learner doesn't have a bachelor degree. So they can go through the mature entry route, for which we need A-level qualifications, and you need to have provide us 3 to 5 years of managerial work experience proof. 3 to 5 years, I'll just clarify it here. If you have an exceptionally good experience with a very good organization, we can accept 3 years. Otherwise, you'll need to provide 5 years of managerial work experience proof in the form of a formal letter from your organization, a work experience letter. So this is pertaining to the eligibility. Next slide, please, Sayali. Okay, now for the webinar attendees, we have a special offer for you. Now you can enroll for this program on or before the 31st of August 2023, and you can take advantage of the 10% discount we are providing only for the webinar attendees. So this is an offer which you can claim if you are enrolling before August 31st. Next slide, please, Sayali. Okay, now in case we are open for queries now. In case any of you has any question or require any clarifications after the webinar, you are free to write to us at these 2 email addresses which are given to you, fatima@uniathena.com or admissions@uniathena.com, or you can WhatsApp on the number mentioned 009715587954992. Okay, so we are open to queries now. You can just let us know your questions, and we'll take them one by one.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fatima, and thank you, Shiju, for explaining the course so much in detail with all the levels and with all the information the course has. Ma'am, thank you so much for providing all the information regarding the admission and the installments. Now we are open for questions. Okay, so a lot of questions for our panelists, and we will take them one by one. The first question is for you, Sachin, and